And the idea is that it's more of an interactive session, that we really kind of work together on projecting also the future, and perhaps having an opportunity to think about developing a new pipeline of projects and works as a community together. So as always, I think we know this now, but the deep dive sessions were part of the Do Impact strategy and sat alongside the transnational workshops. They're open to SMEs working in the social economy, but also social economy enabling organizations. And the idea is always to focus on a point in terms of like a deep dive, whether a tool or a project. And this, like I mentioned, is the final 7th European deep dive. As you know, it's being recorded, your cameras and microphones are enabled, and today, especially today, it would be great that we actually have a participative session, so also to hear from you. And I'm just skipping through these quite fast. So today it's with me. And yeah, to begin with, it's a bit of just a highlight of what we did as a project. Although Isabel's not here, I just wanted to give an overview. Isabel from Catalonia. Anna, help me with the organization of Isabel, or Diana, it always leaves my head.
Isabel?
Yeah.
From Clúster Digital?
Clúster Digital, thank you. They've been overseeing the impact monitoring and evaluation. So I just wanted to give a few highlights from that and how that strategy has worked. But then I've refocused the session more on the Digital Data Action Plan. So the project, as you know, culminated with the final event that we had in Brussels in July, 7th to 8th July, the transnational conference and the final workshop. And since then, we've had 2 further deep dives. One was last week, and today's is kind of like a final one. In terms of public-facing outputs, the Digital Data Action Plan is now in its kind of completely final drafting and will be published at the end of the month, beginning of September, and made public to you as well, so that it's a tool that can be used by the community. And similarly, the impact evaluation report or monitoring, I don't know exactly what that deliverable is called, but that's also public-facing deliverable, which will be made available through our website, LinkedIn page, and the community. So I wanted to take the opportunity today to focus on those 2 deliverables a little bit, and with the breakout sessions, let's see how we do this, whether we do 2 or 3, depending on how many we are. We're around 11, 10 people at the moment, maybe 2 is a better number. Focus a little bit on some of the lines of action within the Digital Data Action Plan, and digging a little bit deeper. How could we turn those into future proposals of work together or new projects in the pipeline? Or maybe you've already heard of an opportunity that's being advertised and you want to share that with the group. It would be great to be able to capture that in today's session. So I'm not sure if anybody here, if this is their first deep dive. If it is, then just a heads up that the structure today is a little bit different and a little bit more hands-on and participative. And for the rest of you, you already know how this is, so I'm sure you will be fine with that. So for this deep dive session, Anna, you were going to ask me a few questions. We're improvising here, so you don't just hear my voice.
Sorry, I was on mute. But yes, I do have a question. So can you tell me a bit about the Do Impact Evaluation Framework?
Yeah, so the Do Impact Evaluation Framework was something that was put in place right at the beginning of the project. It basically established like a common methodology for measuring the effectiveness and not only short-term, but also longer-term impact of the project's capacity building activities that were focused on social economy SMEs, but also the enabling organizations. And it combined kind of like baseline assessment, immediate feedback, and longer term follow-up. And actually the community of participants at this deep dive, you know that you sometimes contributed to interviews, to videos, to filling in evaluation questionnaires, and take surveys, and also some of you were part of focus groups. So basically, in our project, we distinguished between the transnational workshops. Those were always evaluated individually, before, during, and after the event. And then also the local workshops, or the more local-based capacity building sessions, which included all the activity that was happening in the consortium countries, but also these European events, which was the Diesis Digital Day that took place last November, and the deep dives. And these were also assessed through annual impact surveys and workshop reporting. In the evaluation, there were kind of 5 core KPIs, which included engagement, knowledge gain, in terms of how do you feel you've improved your knowledge on specific learning objectives, the application of learning, whether you're actually already applying that within your organization or within your business, your overall satisfaction or not with the events that we organized, and the overall impact on your organization. So a mixture of quantitative and qualitative data was collected. And at the moment, it's also in its final drafting, it's being aggregated and analyzed to identify the overall results, challenges, and good practices. So, yeah. It's been a continuous task, and the aim is really to be able to take that learning to be to contribute to continuing working in these areas together, not only as a consortium but as a wider community that we've developed.
Can you highlight some of the key findings and what you found the most surprising?
Mm-hmm. Just one second. So basically, the report is still to, sorry, I just have to click over my screen. The report is still to be shared, but what I would like to share is some highlights from what participants have said. And I'm doing this really just to see if this resonates with the group here, but also thinking and taking that into consideration when we are designing future projects and future activities, or thinking about this space of digitalization, which is what and use of data, and within the social economy sector, which is what the project and this work has been about. So one participant said, Do Impact was an inspiring experience that demonstrated that digital transformation is no longer just about technology, but about generating greater social impact. What impressed me most was seeing how collaboration between organizations can improve decision-making, optimize resources, and ultimately provide better support to people and communities. That was one that I would like to share. Another one was this idea of acknowledging that data and digital innovation are actually drivers of social impact. So this person said, acknowledging that data and digital innovation can become the driver of social impact in the modern world, and defining pathways for accomplishing that through social economy has been the most important takeaway for me. Developing and maintaining data, keeping and sharing tools within our organization will allow us to keep data more in the center of our work. Many participants highlighted the development of new collaborations and partnerships as key. One person said, what impacted me most during the Do Impact event was the openness with which participants shared their experiences, challenges, and practical solutions. Beyond the inspiring sessions, what stood out most was the sense of community and the willingness to learn from one another. The future of social economy depends on strong partnerships and responsible data sharing. And then finally, one more, which I thought also is important to keep in mind as we take this work forward. In the social economy, no single organization can solve systemic challenges alone. Sharing data and pooling our collective knowledge is the fuel that drives true scalable impact. So I don't know if some of those views resonate with also what you have have in mind. I think in terms of evaluation responses that were most repetitive throughout all of the events and throughout the project is that in the end, participants really value highly hands-on sessions where they're actually in a workshop setting and they can pull a document apart. In the final transnational workshop, we co-created the second version of the Digital Data Action Plan. The participants were actually asked to review the objectives and action points and be able to rewrite them. That session, to my surprise, actually got the highest evaluation. People really want that kind of work. They want to be involved. They want to really be able to, hands-on participate. And I think that's one important finding from Do Impact is that perhaps as humans, we are oversaturated with input, with people talking at us, giving presentations, and people just want something simple to be able to, in detail, break down and have their views heard. So the more we do of that and the more we actually use our community, I think, the better. I don't know if that, again, feel free to interrupt at any point, because I know, Diana, you also were running work in Sweden for Companion, for Do Impact, and through other projects, and whether that's something that resonates, Ravi as well, Massimo. So feel free to jump in. But I think those were the two, highlights for me. And then just the genuine interest to continue this work.
Yeah, I just want to add and underline, stress what you said. That was what I participated to Barcelona and the two Italian in presence. I mean, and the two Italian workshops, and there was a kind of a similarity, and everyone over there. What comes out, the active participation, was really, really a refrain in a way, was said even in Barcelona, and then in the other two that making, games during the workshop, a kind of experiment, because that's you're true. Whenever you get a lot of information, you think you understood everything, but you understood nothing. I mean, you overloaded is an overload of informations, and that's it. So it's so nice, and also a suggestion for the future, to make a bigger, more active participation than just simple talks.
Mm-hmm. To do even more of that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's always a challenge when you plan the agendas, of the events to, in the end, you have good speakers, they want to share things. So getting that balance right. Yeah. Diana?
Yes, I would like to go a bit further on this direction, using my experience as both organizer and participant in some of the workshops. So what I have noticed, we have organized in Sweden one transnational workshop and one series of local workshops, but I have also participated myself in some of this. And what I have noticed is that, just underlining what you said, Aneta, is actually the combination. I noticed that when the topic is new or more unusual or not so well known, like I'm thinking about the CRM sessions that we had in Sweden, for example. It's nice to have a bit of the introduction or like overview of the field so the participants get the framework and the inspiration and a bit of knowledge, and then this it's a very good ground for the hands-on and the participation. However, when we have like topics that the participants are more familiar or used about, then is no need for the same kind of like introduction or theoretical background. Then it works much better to go directly into the practical workshopping and draw on everyone experience and be reflective and critical in the approach. And then you can the other kind of results.
Yeah. Thanks, Diana. And I like that you use the word critical, which is something that I think we definitely had throughout this process of the 2 years, that we had, critical, not critical as in complaining voices, but critical in terms of questioning and debating and not just accepting what's being said, right? Which is also kind of, I think, key to this whole area of information, disinformation, and how we are working with data.
And yes, Aneta, exactly this, that there is also this the capacity of reflection and assessing what the information you get and the context. And what I found really valuable is that once we lift a certain topic in our learning journey, for example, of the impact, what I have noticed the participant is that, okay, we have done this, but how does this work in my context? And how does this work in your context? I always try to like break it down in the specificity of their own like local environment, and this is where I think the most important values come from.
Yeah, thank you. Somebody else? Ravi, please.
Yes, yeah. First, like I would like to say that you did amazingly with combining the organizations with making this whole diversity, not only thematic diversity, but also levels of maturity, depth of sessions. There were sessions that were more introductory, but there were sessions like from Politecnico di Milano that I remember that are super technical about how to like new approaches to analyzing data. That's like Diana is saying, like it gets us thinking, okay, how is this relevant for me? Like it seems very interesting, but yeah, how could I translate this in even like in a minimal way to work in my work context? Like how do I explore this kind of possibilities also within my organization? So that to say that even having this like overwhelming feeling and some kind of confusion that Massimo mentioned, I find that each and every session were very inspiring, and there was a very good mix of hands-on and theory. Also, because this inspiration and these new approaches are needed to be shown, I would add to what Diana said, that we need indeed this space and these connections to translate these learnings to concrete applications, implementing in organizations. And what I would add to that is to have some kind of mechanism, some kind of activity to be able to build up along sessions. I know you want to be open, like you want to involve new organizations. You want for those who, I don't know, like somebody that just got to know the project now and joined this call. This is amazing. However, it's also very good to be able to assure some kind of build up learning, and in which more engaged organizations or those that have the resources and the time can grow together, like from session to session, that we're able to see, even if there's like only like a core group of, I don't know, like 6 organizations, that those can be the one like raising the bar in collaboration, in translating this learning into applications that, I don't know, like from we would see today what this core group worked on from the last session, for instance, if it's on data protection sovereignty that they can show for 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, like from the last session, we had these learnings, and I could see that within 2 weeks, I could have these discussions in my organization. And now we have a pilot project to protect the data of these department or these public that we protect. Like, is this build up and collaboration opportunities, like to be able to enable this in some way?
Thanks, Ravi. And I hear what you're saying. And I think within Do Impact, that was kind of like a challenge, right? Because on the one hand, we presented a learning journey. Participants, whether they were the enabling organizations or the SMEs, could join it and stay with us to the end. But on the other hand, as the project, we also had the pressure of hitting all our KPIs, which were quite high in terms of the number of organizations and new organizations that attended overall or somehow connected to the project. So I think that's also an important point that you raise as in learning. And I think it kind of happened naturally that we didn't have an official core group that grew together, but through the natural kind of repetitions of some organizations and SMEs that became kind of our key community, that happened. But perhaps it would have been more effective to actually have that inbuilt into the project from the beginning, and have that kind of side by side to the new participants, but also a core group that's kind of learning throughout. So I hear what you're saying, and definitely agree. And this idea of build up and continuum was super important in the project, right? So actually, the fact that there were participants, and only in this room, I think most of you are an example of that were with us throughout the learning journey, is what made the outcomes, I would say, particularly enriching or interesting as well, right? Because we kind of could debate on what's been happening over the course of the 2 years. Okay, so thank you very much for all your inputs. The second part of this hour, I don't know if we need the whole hour, but I think maybe yes, is a little bit just giving you a highlight about the Digital Data Action Plan, where that stands at the moment. Most of you were in the final event, so you know. But basically, the aim of this is that it's going to sit as a strategic framework for translating our ambition into some concrete actions for the social economy sector. The aim really is to move us as organizations from being primarily users and adopters of digital technology to actually active participants, and in some sense also definitely co-creators of Europe's digital and data economy. Okay, so this shift in, what is our capacity as humans working in this field. So the 4 complementary lines of action, as you know, and that we deep dived into during the workshop, and you helped outline the objectives and policies, the objectives and actions. The 4 complementary lines of actions are, number 1, policy and advocacy, which was like focusing on more like a strategic recognition of ethical governance and like the integration of social economy in European digital and data policy. So more like a policy-focused action. Line of action. Line of action 2 was capacity and human capital, which was addressing more this idea, what we've been doing in Do Impact, digital skills, organizational capabilities, mentoring, peer learning, kind of this human-centered tech management. That's second area. The third area was around infrastructure and resource mobilization. So we were focusing on this term of interoperability, digital infrastructure, open source solutions, impact intelligence tools, and also in this line of action, important, the access to appropriate finance. And then finally, the fourth line of action is around ecosystem synergies. And by this, we mean, strengthening our data sharing culture, the term data altruism, data commons, creating some kind of knowledge networks for the possibility of replication and scaling of successful digital innovation. I'm just going to share my screen again. Where is it? Here. So the idea now is...
I don't think we see your screen. I don't.
Maybe.
Now.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't press the button. So the idea now is, I'm just looking at how many of us there are, and maybe we can decide as a group what we prefer. My idea was to split us into, in this case, 2 breakout sessions. I decided to focus not on the policy part, leaving that aside for the second, but maybe I'll go through all of them and we can together decide what's of most interest to us. So one idea was that one group would have a think about this idea of capacity and human capital, brainstorming like what capabilities does social economy need to move from digital adoption to this idea of digital agency. Could we somehow create a project proposal for the pipeline to work on this, to think about this, to create a project around this? The idea is for this breakout sessions to create or think about a potential new project concept, or also bring to it already a concrete, perhaps, fund or opportunity that matches that. That would be the next level, right? But my intention was just to brainstorm new potential project concepts in these groups that we have here, or the people who've joined today. So breakout 1, capacity and human capital, thinking about like beyond individual skills, what organizational capabilities need to be developed. How could mentoring, peer learning, and communities of practice or training perhaps be delivered differently or do something new? Could we create some kind of European social economy digital academy? What project could build these capabilities at scale? That was breakout 1. In breakout 2, thinking about infrastructure and resource mobilization, how can we make digital infrastructure and finance more accessible and appropriate for the social economy? What digital infrastructure do social economy organizations currently lack? Where could open source, shared, or cooperative infrastructure offer an alternative to dependency on commercial platforms? Remember, we've talked about this quite a lot as well in the final workshop, where we had a session on data cooperatives. Throughout the learning journey, we've had examples of open source tools. What types of funding or investment are needed to move from experimentation to implementation and scale? We also had a lot of conversations around the fact that this all sounds great and ideal, but it's actually very challenging in reality, right? And we had organizations like CE Democracy Watch and TechSoup discuss specifically this kind of area of work and the challenges behind it. But that said, is there one concrete project idea that could be developed or that you could have an idea for? What infrastructure or financing project could we develop together? That was the idea for breakout 2. For breakout 3, finally, thinking about ecosystem synergies, which is the fourth line of action within the Digital Data Action Plan. How can we build stronger ecosystems around data, tech, and social innovation? So most of us belong to some kind of network, or we are a network organization, right? We're not working in isolation. What kind of partnerships between social economy organizations and digital SMEs are currently missing? Throughout the project, one of the KPIs was also to engage with digital providers or digital SMEs that are not necessarily part of the social economy ecosystem, but collaborate with and form that conversation, right? That's the idea, that actually we depend on those organizations and we need to work with them in order to achieve our goals as well within this area. So what mechanisms could help successful digital solutions to replicate and scale? Could we create some other kind of European network marketplace, knowledge center? What kind of project could create these kind of lasting connections between different ecosystems? And I think that's an important point as well that we brought up, right? Tapping into other sectors. Social economy is not a sector, it's a transversal area, right? So how can we actually embed that within other thematic areas or sectors? So that was the idea. Diana, I can see your
Yes, just a quick reflection here, Aneta,
Yeah.
because I'm just thinking that the what you had as a breakout room to the capacity and human capital, I find it a very let's say appropriate and relevant at this moment, especially the Social Economy Digital Academy, and the third one as well. I'm a bit more skeptical on the second one if we have to choose something, because the second one, it also involves the microfinancing structures that we have all over Europe, and they are already looking at this thing. And so it's there is a risk for some kind of parallel work or the need to involve like other actors than those we have. And also I feel like the breakout, like the topic of the ecosystem and synergies is somehow tangenting like the aspect of infrastructure that raised in the second breakout room. And what I mean by this is, for example, when we had our last local workshop, what we had was actually a developer organization, like a digital developer who actually specialized in creating programs for the social impact or for the social economy, so that it should be like non-costly and adapted to the needs of the social economy. This kind of partnership, I think they're very interesting for our entities, because we need something that is relevant and appropriate to our needs. I was also just a reflection, since we are not so many, maybe we can address the topics like together in one session. Maybe there is no need for breakout rooms, but it's just a question.
Thank you. As you're doing that, I'm already setting up 2 breakout rooms, and if it would be okay, I would still split us in. But I agree, let's do 2. So we have the breakout room 3, ecosystem synergies, and the first one, and then that way we have kind of 2 focused conversations, and we can bring it back and harvest together, so we hear both anyway. So if that's okay, and I will split us up. Oops, hang on. Okay. So I will come into each room and just copy and paste the sessions, but 40, so maybe 15 minutes together. Is that okay? And Diana, could I ask you to focus on the breakout room 1, the capacity and human capital? Is that okay, your group? And then
Absolutely.
Ravi and also Kostas, you're in the other one. I put you in the ecosystem synergies. Is that okay? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm
Very good.
setting you up. Open all rooms. I think it works like this. And yeah, you can join. Bueno, espera. Ana,
Sí,
si quieres, vete a una sala también. Estás ahí un poco con...
sí,
Y yo voy
sí,
ahora, voy a copiarlo y pego. Ahora vengo.
sí, vale.
Gracias.
Here we are again.
Here we are.
Here we are. Were there some people still missing from, or have they gone, Ravi?
I guess the others will arrive soon.
Yeah.
I have at least 6 participants in the participants list, so we just don't see everyone.
No, I think they haven't clicked the button, but it takes like in 86 seconds, they will be with us.
Then it goes automatically. Okay.
I think that's all of us now. Alice, is Alice there?
Is Alice and Costas in the other one? But I cannot join them.
Alice and Costas.
It takes so long. Okay, 1 minute.
We manage.
And there's no way to bring them, to force them?
I'm trying, but
yes,
no
we hijack them.
I can't do anything. I'm trying.
So this is also a topic. How can we
You can close
manipulate the system?
But it takes 2 minutes. It's okay. It gives people an opportunity to stay together and have a bit of a more
to wrap up.
No, I think it's also depending because we choose to leave the room. Maybe they waited until the breakout room
definitely,
was closed.
But
yes.
you'd expect that when you close the breakout, that it would close directly. Here they are. Okay. So we're all back together. So we're running to the close of our session, but since this is again being recorded, right, Anna, I guess? It would just be nice to capture some of the key findings, or not findings, thoughts that came up in each group. In the one around capacity and human capital, would you like to share 1 or 2 of the ideas that came out or the key messages? Massimo, Diana, and I think Milivoje?
Yes.
Thank you. Go on, Massimo. You're on mute.
Yeah. Okay. One thing was talking to Diana and to you was the idea, for example, to, of course, continue and making another project with also taking the impact as a starting point, as a basis, and also starting to work on the thing that hadn't been analyzed fully during the project, and also what I proposed is to see that there were very good, a lot of professionals, very good, results about the impact, making a kind of consortium, transnational consortium that could be of help for others. For example, we work in cooperatives and be of help for cooperatives to use digital fully. We just had an experience, as I said, we were given financiation by Google to give cooperatives money to use digital, and then but doing further. Also, they have some problems, so they say, what do I have to do with that when I use in social services and stuff, And so, for example, giving them a lot of advice and also tools, because within this can be developed. Also, there are some tools, digital tools useful, and using open sources also in order to make it easy for all the users. That's it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Diana, you mentioned something around effectiveness versus efficiency. Can you share that idea?
Yeah, sure. I mentioned that also, like effectiveness and versus efficiency in the digital realm, in the digital world, like for the social economy, because there is this trap ongoing into the efficiency direction. Like, okay, this solves my problem now, it makes my work easier, this and that. But you are losing the other aspects that you're mentioning, like the democratization, human aspects, the other values. And this is the thickness in the long term. This is how we achieve or reach our goals of social economy, our specific values. So there is a kind of like say interplay between the two, and there is a risk that folk get let's say tripped into the efficiency realm or trap and lose sight of the effectiveness, which is the larger scale. So I think it's quite nice to use this. And I was also thinking about that the organization, they need to have the tools for critically assessing what's around there, because it's a lot of now AI and digital, like also like tool system that they use. And how do you know what is good for you? And how do you avoid going of the first one who is selling you an option that seems good, but maybe you realize it's not so good? What is it that you have to look at? So this kind of things, I think, can be good.
Thanks, Diana. And I added an idea to this group, perhaps a project concept around skills focused on being critical thinkers and being able to uphold kind of democratic values and fight disinformation from the social economy sector. So something, a project concept around that, perhaps. Moving to breakout 2, which in the slides is breakout 3, with the ecosystem synergies. What did this group talk about? I heard something around circular economy when I stopped by, but then I think the conversation also went on. So please share.
Yeah, Valdona, she shared her challenges according to regarding access to technology and resources because of some initiatives she would like to bring forward in the organization regarding packaging and traceability, material passport and so forth. And Alice shared her challenge regarding sharing data from the sector, from the organizations. Some organizations being also suspicious about sharing some kind of sensitive data, like to help the sector and to be able to monitor. From my understanding, both questions also would benefit from ecosystem building, from sharing information and being together as a sector. I must say that what caught my attention also, like I also implement a sister project from the same grant as Do Impact here in Belgium, together with Clúster Network, that is about capacity building of social economy, social oriented organizations. And what I say as a challenge, and I also believe that would be a huge opportunity actually for a development of this project, is to identify and to be able to make possible something that the commercial market does very well, is this concept of like being investment ready, for instance, that we would indeed involve organizations and support organizations. However, those organizations that can really change, that can really go forward and are able and also willing to take a further step, because we can indeed involve more, so to say, more traditional or even conservative social economy organizations that are struggling to apply some systems to do capacity building. That's very interesting. But this works to bring some of these more basic level organizations until some acceptable level. I wonder if it would be more important for like seeing these possibilities to involve these very engaged organizations to be really these role models, like to be these like frontier social economy organizations that would be able to raise the bar in building ecosystems, in really challenging the current system, in access to technology, in involving other progressive technology tech organizations to be able to set up projects for social economy, because these frontier innovative actions within the social economy will also raise the bar for those basic ones, because then they have something to look up for and to strive for it.
Thank you, David. Kostas?
We don't have the time to
It's okay.
further. Just from the titles of the breakout and the ecosystem synergies and how can we build stronger ecosystems. What I thought was an idea we were working on. It's some kind of a project mainly that has to do with social innovation, smart specialization strategy at national or regional level. So we are working on this idea. All of you know there is a strategy that is implemented in every EU country. So we are thinking of building some strategy that focuses on social innovation and entrepreneurial and social entrepreneurial discovery process. This is the one. We don't have the time, of course, to talk about now, maybe in some other occasion. And I think this will be the first step, so we can move forward to building ecosystems that are more concrete and also help the matchmaking mechanism and process as you described in the text you have shared with us. So just two ideas I throw on the table. Thanks, Aneta.
Thank you, Kostas. And I think the conversation doesn't end here. Please do keep in touch. And as a community, let's reach out to each other once we have more concrete opportunities that we can put forward together, which would be great. That would be my hope, that as a consortium, but also as a growing community, we continue to work together and actually something concrete comes up along these ideas. So just wary of the time, and just to wrap up, I'll stop sharing this presentation. Or maybe, am I sharing my screen?
No.
Okay, then it's not important. I didn't want to share it. What I wanted to say is two things. We have Anna here. Her internet connection's not so great, but Anna's been doing a great job with Davide, leading on the comms side and dissemination side of Do Impact. And I wanted to ask you, what are the plans in terms of sustaining the community and communications beyond the project?
Yeah, indeed. Sorry for my internet. I think it's the heat or something. I wanted to invite you. I hope you are already following our LinkedIn, but we do want to continue this online community that we created. So we have plans to create a LinkedIn group in which we can have a more collaborative discussion around the topic. But also the LinkedIn itself will continue in the next months sharing not only news and results and outputs, but like further resources. So if you are not there, be there and join our group, so we don't let this community that we created die here, but we continue and probably until future projects. And
maybe on that,
I'm gonna share it here if you.
Oh yeah, I was going to do that. Yeah, please do that. And there is still, I think, one last newsletter that's coming out. So if you are not receiving those, then go to the website and sign up for the newsletter. Then you're part of this group. And finally, just to plug also the November Diesis Digital Day, which you will all hear about in due course, I assume late September. And the two deliverables, the Digital Data Action Plan, which we'll be sharing very shortly as well. So thank you, and thanks a lot for being so participative. I really appreciate it, and I wish you, what is it today? A nice Thursday, and nice to see you all.
Thank you, Aneta and Anna, and good luck with fighting the heat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.